Okay, so we continue with another interesting session, which is a presentation by Milan, who's an associate specialist cardiothoracic surgeon at the Bristol Royal Infirmary in the UK, and he's going to tell us all about NAZARE, a new wave in global health. Please welcome.
She's here, yeah. Good. Thank you very much for all of you having me, and hopefully I'm going to show you something. So first of all, this presentation of only 2 slides are made by myself. All other slides are made by machine learning, large language model, which I dictated, then the machine took the dictation into the natural language, and then all natural language was put there. So we know that weight management or obesity is like this wave, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, like the NAZARE wave. It's 100 foot tall, 30 meters, and is affecting the world more and more. They are saying that more people now in the world are obese than the people are starving, and starvation is mainly due to it's a human made. So it's not because of lack of nature all the time, but majority because of the human made. So you can say all of those things, that what we do it is that people will have diabetes, they will have renal failure, they will have amputations, the cost is enormous. Then you take the Congress report USA 2023, they said every BMI over 30% costs them $10,500 per year. Only 16% of people will take Ozempic, and you go on, you go on, you go on. But where is the person? What's happening to that person? Person is not obese or weight management problems because they want to be. It's genetically forced upon them in 60 to 70% of cases. Then if you take 100 grams of sugar and you give that sugar to somebody and put them on fMRI, and also give them cocaine, which you shouldn't, and then you do that also, their brain is firing in the same way. So ultra-processed food, there is even more than that, like a Pringle or this or that, you know, they have no potatoes, no starch, it's artificial starch, artificial this, and your body and your brain, which is still living 100,000 years ago, actually saying, I want this more. Well, why do you want this more? Because I'm foraging, I'm hunter-gathering, I'm moving from A to B, and if I don't eat, I'm going to starve. So I have to have reserves. And then you go and you diet, you starve yourself, and you try everything, and it just doesn't work. Because your working memory also doesn't work. That working memory has to be there to remember what 3 to 4 hours ago you had to eat or snack. And if you don't have that, then you eat again. But because we don't live in hunter-gathering societies anymore, spatial memory understanding of that is just not there. But if you have a video game which helps you with that, to try to find spatially this, it's evidence-based, your working memory improves. And all other things, communication, how many foods, how many water you drank, and everything else. So, and then you go and you try to lose the weight. And set weight theory tells you, like evolution, that actually you are dying. You're starving yourself, you're dying, and once when you achieve that weight, which you lost it, you go again to eat and you overshoot your previous weight. There are all other sort of theories, and everybody is telling to people it's your fault. But how can be their fault? I also thought that is probably family circumstances, this and that, but if you have a twin brothers or sisters, not both of them are necessarily having weight management problems. So we need to build scaffolding around these people. When they stumble, they can come to it, they can lean to it, rather than constantly threaten them. Oh, you're going to have diabetes, you're going to have a renal failure, we're going to amputate your foot in 10%. And if you have proteinuria, all of those things, or say in Saudi you have 1,000 kidney transplants due to obesity per year. Each one causes this and that, but what about that person? So that's when NAZARE comes. It helps, it builds that scaffolding around them. When they try to lean for it, it is there for them. It helps them. It saves them. Doesn't preach to them. Even doesn't teach them, they teach themselves. And you say to yourself, but how we can do that further on through the generations? If my grandfather is diabetic and I'm, say, 15, 20 years old, bright young person living here or anywhere in the world, and I have that output, I have that geeks got me what to do, when to give medications, or what to teach my grandfather and grandmother. It's actually, I'm not treating them, I'm treating myself not to become one of them. But it's a long process. And that's where we come, and that's where unfortunately we are failing around the world, blaming people for something which is not their fault. Here we are. Thank you. Do we have time for questions?
That is
Sorry.
perfect time. No, thank you so much. And I know you wanted people to ask questions.
Yes.
So please, if you have questions, raise your hands and then we'll get a microphone to you. That was very fascinating.
Thank you. Thank you, Anna.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for that very informative presentation. At the beginning, you suggested that in 60 to 70% of cases, the weight management issue or the obesity condition is genetic.
Yes, that's what the new trials are saying and evidence.
That's what they're saying.
Yes.
How do we contrast that with this theory of epigenetics, where you are susceptible to genetic change based on your environment? Because me and my two brothers are very active, quite healthy. You know, our parents weren't like that. Our body shapes are very different to theirs. You know, we've lived a very healthy lifestyle. They're both personal trainers, and one's a boxing coach and a personal trainer, so they're like fitness freaks. I'm not. I'm a lawyer. You know, so I'm just trying to keep up with them, and I don't do that well, but I do okay. You know, I love playing football. But if I look at myself and my own genes, and, you know, the environments that my parents grew up in compared to myself, which was very different. I grew up in England, went into the English education system, I developed a passion for football, you know, my brother Muay Thai, the youngest one swimming on Hampstead Heath, at minus whatever degrees it is. So, you know, I think we've had very different lifestyles, and although we've got the genes, like even one of our friends said it to us recently, you boys have got good genes, you know, and I thought to myself, well actually, maybe they're good, but my parents' body shapes were certainly like, not like ours.
Where do your parents grow up, where they live?
Well, my mother's from Egypt, my father from Pakistan.
So they have a lot of them have hyperlipidemia, hypercholesterolemia, but not in the past. They were not diabetics because of the food was different, wasn't it?
Right.
So what you're comparing somebody who lived on I wouldn't call it diet, but I would call sustenance, which was not highly caloric, which was differently made. I mean, you tell me, when in the history of the human beings, if we say this is 1 hour, how many milliseconds we have been eating sugar? How many milliseconds?
1 millisecond, not even 1 millisecond.
Exactly. So you can't compare these things, because if the stone man didn't drink a Coke.
Yeah,
the 13
my father's grandfather, to your point, my father's grandfather, he was different. You know,
yes, and he would wake up with the sun.
Yeah.
He would work until sun comes down. He wouldn't have alcohol, he wouldn't have smoke. And even if he smoked, his life expectancy was such that he wouldn't affect him so much. So that's what we are forgetting, like that average human lifespan wasn't so long until 14th, 15th century when we start to reach some maturity, some middle ages. Before that, like in a woman, you know, menopause. Why the menopause is there? Is that because of grandchildren? No, because they were all dead before the grandchildren were born. Was that because of competition in between mother and a daughter for offspring? Yes, probably. Or probably because they lived only until 35, 40, and they have enough cells to ovulate until 35, 40. So that's a paradigm for diabetes, for obesity, for everything else. Because there was no such thing. But if you look into Greek and Roman mosaics and some other things, or 20,000 years ago, small figurines or whatever, the big was good. It's for fertility. Even in Africa now, some ladies wear the small fertile figurines. And we know that obesity is not fertility, but because of the time of the need, when the hunger was common, having the food was fertility. So you are doing everything what you can, and even if your genes are working against you, as I say to my patient, he said, the bloke is running marathon. I mean, round of fives, we operated on him. He had heart attack. You heard for round of fives. Yeah, we have his approval to tell that to everybody. He is the bloke who went all around the world, ran marathons, North Pole, South Pole, all of those things. And he said to me, how can I have a heart attack? I put 300 kilos on sledge and I pull it on the grass every day to train. But I said, what do you eat? Oh, we eat refined ghee. Why do you eat refined ghee? Because he said it's the lightest and most caloric thing. What do you expect? You have a heart attack, you're arrested in an airplane. But I use that. No, you don't. It goes into your blood. It's a simple thing. We are just forgetting. We are Stone Age people. We are talking about AI, we are talking about this. But our smell around us in environment, circadian rhythm, everything else determines our outcome, our health, how we are, who we are, how we think, and even more how we behave to each other. You know, they tested all of those things. Altruism is being beaten into us. By whom? By what? I don't know. You know? So you see somebody suffering and you are there to help unselfishly. That's your first move. You know, they said, why the people in Samoa have 40% diabetes? Well, it's simple because they used to go on a boat from island to island, and then they used to eat. And whoever was fattening himself faster was able to go further down. And they have diabetes, 40%, in the time of plenty. You know, so we are not built for this society. Our genes, we are Stone Age people. No offense to anybody. And these hunter-gatherers, they probably were cleverer than us because they were able to orientate themselves. I mean, how can you find a way in desert? Anybody can explain me how to die within 2 hours? Yeah. And did you ever see the fat Bedouin who lives? Never. They don't eat McDonald's. Their brain doesn't fire as on drugs because they're not used to this huge amount of artificial, refined sugar. So it's not sugar, it's refined sugar. So it hits you like a stone and gives you that pleasure, arousal. And why you wouldn't have it again? Well, that's where we need to come and help people. Not judge them, not to preach them. If you say to somebody, look, it's your fault because you eat too much. Only 20% of people will go through the weight management system. Only 20. 60% will take Ozempic. I mean, and 120 side effects per year per taker. So you have to manage that. How you are going to manage that? AI. Let's help people. Give them something which they really need. My wearables, they work in that way. And everything else. So I rest my case.
Perfect. And that's the perfect conclusion as well. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you
That was
very
really
much. Thank you.
insightful. Perfect. Yeah.